أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن، خلق الإنسان، علمه البيان. الشمس والقمر بحسبان، النجم والشجر يسجدان، والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان، ألا تطغوا في الميزان، وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان. والأرض وضعها للأنام، فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام، والحب ذو العصف والريحان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار، وخلق الجان من مارج من نار. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ رب المشرقين ورب المغربين. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ مرج البحرين يلتقيان، بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ كل من عليها فان، ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ يسأله من في السماوات والأرض، كل يوم هو في شأن. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا، لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يرسل عليكما شواظ من نار ونحاس فلا تنتصران فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فإذا انشقت السماء فكانت وردة كالدهان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيومئذ لا يسأل عن ذنبه إنس ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يعرف المجرمون بسيماهم فيؤخذ بالنواصي والأقدام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان هذه جهنم التي يكذب بها المجرمون يطوفون بينها وبين حميم آن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ولمن خاف مقام ربه جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ذواتا أفنان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما عينان تجريان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما من كل فاكهة زوجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان متكئين على فرش بطائنها من استبرق وجنى الجنتين دان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهن قاصرات الطرف لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كأنهن الياقوت والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ومن دونهما جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مدهامتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما عينان نضاختان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما فاكهة ونخل ورمان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهن خيرات حسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان حور مقصورات في الخيام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان متكئين على رفرف خضر وعبقري حسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان تبارك اسم ربك ذي الجلال والإكرام صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakumullah khairan, Hafiz Abdul Rashid. May Allah bless you. Thank you very much for the wonderful recitation. At this time, we have Sister Shasha, who is joining us online on Zoom. She'll be making a presentation for us. We would ask whoever is controlling the Zoom meeting, please spotlight her screen so that we can listen to her presentation, inshallah. Whenever she's ready, she can go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Is the sound okay? Sorry, can someone confirm? Test. Hello? Okay. Take that as a yes. Okay. Hi, my name is Shabina Jasmine Mardevi Kadri. Some of you know me simply as Sasha. My apologies. I did intend to attend the masjid in person, but my mother has not been feeling well since last night. So we decided that to do this wisely, remotely. I want to start by offering my deepest condolences to Brother Hussam and the rest of the family of our late brother Mustafa. May Allah give everyone in your family and loved ones peace and patience in these trying times. And may Allah grant Brother Mustafa with peace in the hereafter and Jannah. Ameen. As Brother Imam Umar mentioned, I am here to help us in light of our recent loss in the community. I'm here to help us reflect upon our view as Muslims and remind ourselves what Quran says about death. And the final part of this session, I just want to take some time to remind all of us in the community how to cope with loss. And I want to preface by saying that I'm not by any means a subject matter expert in this topic. I am a sister member of this Jama'ah and just have been blessed with the opportunity to share what I've learned and reflected lately. I want to start with a story. I remember volunteering at a medical unit at the Scarborough Hospital. I was helping out nurses and admins with the logistics and administrations of multiple wards in that unit dedicated for intensive care. And I still remember the day I worked my shift, where it was the first time I saw nurses rushing down to respond to a patient who was in critical condition and eventually was passing away in our unit. Now I've experienced losses in my life, but I think that was the first time I was in such close proximity to someone who had their last breath. I was stunned. I didn't know how to process it. I believe I still don't. Despite my best attempt to hide it, a nurse came up to me calmly and said, "This is just a part of life." She tried to comfort me, saying that death is a part of life. She's not Muslim, but may Allah bless her. She's someone who devotes her life for the care of others and signs up for a job where death is just a regular Tuesday. And for the rest of us, perhaps due to our innate fear, we act like death is an option in life and or one of the results in life. No. There's no tick box where we can check and say, oh, I want to opt out of death. None of us will escape it. In the Quran, Surah Ali Imran, ayah 185, it says, every self will taste death. You will be paid your wages in full on the day of rising. Anyone who is distanced from the fire and admitted to the garden has triumphed. The life of this world is only the enjoyment of delusion. As believers, fortunately, we believe death is not the end, that this life we currently have is simply at the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But more importantly, whatever short time we have here is to live a life full of ibadah, gratitude, love, and worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is all to prepare ourselves for the next life. So even if our time is short here, there's still a lot to live for. In fact, as believers, we need to believe that there is nothing in this life, in dunya, as certain as death. In that same year I volunteered, I was in my first year of undergrad. I had no idea what my future would be. I could only try my best and have all sorts of expectations. So only Allah knows what He has written for us, except that as His followers, we should know that our time here in dunya is temporary. In Surah Luqman, ayah 34, it says, indeed, Allah alone has knowledge of the hour and sends down the rain and knows what is in the wombs. No soul perceives what it will learn tomorrow, and no soul perceives what land it will die. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. Even with the knowledge that one day our time in this dunya will end, we don't know when that's going to be, how it's going to happen, what kind of sickness that will close our chapter here, or if we're going to be sick at all. In Surah Munafiqun, ayah 10, and spend in the way of Allah from what we have provided you before death approaches one of you, and he says, my Lord, if only you would delay me for a brief term, so I would give to charity and be among the righteous. But never will Allah delay a soul when the time has come, and Allah is acquainted with what you do. Follow up with that, coupled with that, Surah An-Nahl at ayah 61. When their specified time arrives, they cannot delay it for a single hour, nor they can bring it forward. So what it says that if Allah wills it, we do not have the control to change it even within a single hour. So brothers and sisters, I know that was a lot to take in, but trust that this is just a reminder and a way to comfort all of us and embrace death as a part of life in the dunya and a new beginning in the akhirah. Put all your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His perfect timing. Having the dunya at the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't mean that we should just give up, forget our responsibilities, and be in despair. We are encouraged to cherish the company of our families and loved ones, give back to the community, humbled with the beauty that Allah has created. Use all of them as a part of ibadah instead of letting them get in the way of it. Finally, when all that's done, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Surah Al-Fajr, ayah 27 to 30, O soul that are at rest, return to your Lord well pleased with Him, well pleasing Him, so enter among my servants and enter into my garden. Treat death as the one last blessing that we have in this world, and as we leave the dunya, we are returning to Him. And we know this. Whenever tragedy or death occurs, we keep saying, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Surely we belong to Allah, and to Him we shall return. So when we fear death, all we can do is submit and pray for strength to welcome that last blessing. And whenever the time comes, and and pray for strength when the time comes for our loved ones as well. May Allah give all of us strength and comfort in this life, and may we become among those who are accepted into Jannah in the hereafter. I mean, before I close my speech, I just want to remind ourselves that Alhamdulillah, with the mercy of Allah, we are still gathered today in this, in all of you in this beautiful masjid, and for me to share this knowledge. With that, I want to address this one very crucial question. What if death in the form of loss of loved one is a current reality for us who are living? After all, losing loved ones is a form of test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 155, it says, we will surely test you with something of fear, hunger, and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits, but give good tidings to the patient. To reiterate my previous points, if we are still at the mercy of Allah to continue living, it means that we are still entrusted with roles and responsibilities, including when a loved one has passed. And this doesn't necessarily only begin when we lose someone. For parents, perhaps gently have that discussion, the discussion that no children want to have. I know for sure my parents tried to have this discussion, and I wanted to pretend that it's not happening. Prepare your will and testament, as instructed by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the believers. Let your children know how they can devote themselves to you if and when your time comes. For the children, take care of your parents when in health and sickness. Spend time with them whenever you can. And for anyone, regardless of roles, but especially for closest family members, pray and ask Allah to forgive each of your loved ones. Know that when someone is extremely ill and dying, they may need assistance and frequent repetitions of Shahada. Keep reminding them of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on top of caring for them. And when the time comes, if you're a parent, a spouse, a sibling, or a child of the deceased, know that your role is very, very vital. Be proactive in the transport, performing ghusl or showering the janazah. Arrange janazah prayer and be present and proactive every single step of the funeral procession. Take all those times and use all the energy for this opportunity that you will never get back. After all, it is your final moments and your form of devotion for them. May Allah give us strength and patience for all these. And without neglecting our roles, I mentioned above, my last point, Muslims are allowed to take some time just as needed to mourn and process our feelings. In fact, grief is oftentimes what indicates softness in our hearts and what reminds us further of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Muslims, we try our best to grieve in gentle and dignified manner. With the example of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam lost his dear wife and friend Khadija, and uncle and protector Abu Talib within the same year. Back then, the Prophet could not hide the fact that he was sorrowful. He was a loving man with gentle heart. There's no way that he was not grieving. His enemies rejoiced knowing about his loss and witnessing his sadness. They treated him even worse than ever. He still managed to affirm his weeping daughter that he believed Allah was there to protect him. He did not give up and went to find support. And time and time again, despite his efforts, he was rejected, ridiculed, until, in summary, finally he went and decided to confide even deeply to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then some people overheard his prayer, felt sympathy for him, and through them Allah sent him help, regain more strength, and he regained more strength and the belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would never leave him. And obviously, alhamdulillah, the Prophet went through all that, and today we don't live in a period or in a place where we have to face that. I saw this firsthand earlier this week. When there's loss in the community, for the family of brother Hussam, people gather and came together for support, and mashallah. The point is, with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our lives continue despite the loss of loved ones. But thankfully, none of us is alone in picking ourselves back up. And with Allah, we're never truly alone. So as the living, let's find it in our hearts to use grief as an opportunity to make more dua and confide in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make dua not just for our loved ones that have passed, but for yourself and others who are living in this temporary life. Use grief as an opportunity to teach ourselves sabr, be more patient, be kinder and gentle with our loved ones and others. Use grief as a way to learn how to be more kind and forgiving. Learn to lift that burden from the deceased who might or might not have the chance to ask for your forgiveness of any of their wrongdoings. Use grief to also be more forgiving to your loved ones who are still living. Use grief to empathize and lend a hand to others. If you can feel the pain from loss, that means others can feel it as well. Empathize and help the deceased, pay off debts, help out the living. Use grief for sadaqah. If you're used to giving sadaqah on behalf of yourself for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now give sadaqah on behalf of the deceased. And finally, use grief as a point of remembrance and reflection. Thank Allah for all the goodness, blessings, and guidance imparted to you through the deceased. Act on their positive legacy and pass it on. And inshallah, if your intentions are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and your heart is in the right place, you won't need to rely on grief to do all of that ibadah I mentioned above anymore. May Allah bless us with patience, guidance, and forgiveness. I will stop here. Thank you again. Once again, my deepest condolences to Brother Mustafa's family. Thank you, Imam Umar and the Masjid community for having me here. For all brothers and sisters, thank you for being here and for your support. I humbly apologize for my shortcomings. Perfection is of Allah and Allah alone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Sister Sasha, for the wonderful presentation. May Allah bless you and reward you for your efforts, for taking the time to put together a well-thought presentation that can help us reflect on the reality of death and the processes of grief and how we can cope with those feelings as Muslims. Honestly, personally, I found the reminder very beneficial. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you and to bless you and your family, to bless your parents. And for all of us here, we hope and pray, inshallah, that the reminder is beneficial for all of us. MashaAllah, she shared with us a lot of things that there's really not much left that I can share with you guys. She did a wonderful job, MashaAllah. But first things first, for the family of Brother Mustafa who were able to make it to Canada, his brother, his father, his uncle, we give you our deepest condolences. Ahsanallah azaikum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have mercy upon Brother Mustafa and grant him Jannah and bring ease and relief to you guys as the family. SubhanAllah, they were very unfortunate to miss the janazah itself, which is the last wish that any family member has, right? God forbid if we lose any of our loved ones, and we all will someday. One day, all of us will lose a close family member, a close friend, a relative, someone who's dear to our heart. And the only thing that we would want after they're gone is that we are able to at least pray Salatul Janazah for them. Qadar Allah, they did not get that opportunity. It wasn't something that was written for them, and that's very challenging and that's difficult. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless their brother and their son and to ensure that he is in a better place now than he was before. Allahumma ameen. Something for us to reflect on for the family that traveled all the way from Holland to come and spend a few days and perhaps to visit the gravesite of their brother and their son, and for my brother Hussam as well, which is now somebody has passed away. What do we do next? Just to elaborate on what Sister Sasha was mentioning. The Prophet ﷺ in authentic hadith, he teaches us, إِذَا مَاتَ ابْنُ آدَمٍ انْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثٍ. When a son of Adam dies, his good deeds are cut off except for three. Yani me and you, while we are alive, we can do lots of good things, right? We can pray Maghrib, we can pray Isha, we can give Sadaqah, we can read Quran, we can donate to the hospital. There's lots of good things that we can do. SubhanAllah, I heard, the brother is not here today, but there was a brother who we prayed the janazah with. He was a very, very close friend, he said, of Brother Mustafa. He said he knew him since the day he landed in Canada. SubhanAllah, I forget the guy's name. I should have at least remembered that. But he was telling us, he said that he spoke to him last week and he communicated to him, this is Brother Mustafa's friend, that there was some children's hospital in Masr that was either being built or needed some donation, whatever the story is. And he said Mustafa told his mom that give me until next week when I get paid. I have some money that I'm gonna send to you and I want you to go and give it to the hospital. Right? He had that intention, he wanted to do the khair, but Allah wrote that his life will end before that. But how can we help somebody who is gone? The Prophet ﷺ said there are three ways that you can help. Even the person's book is closed, even they cannot do any a'mal, there are three things that we can do to help that person. What are they? The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned sadaqat jariyah, an ongoing charity. So for example, that hospital that he wanted to donate to, or any masjid that needed help, some yatim that needed support to build a wudu area somewhere where people can make wudu and get ready for salah. All of these types of ongoing charity, you put your money somewhere where even after you're gone, people will use the facility and they will benefit. There are many things in this dunya, subhanallah, the people who established it are no longer here, right? But the Muslimin are still benefiting till today. Like this masjid is new, alhamdulillah, we established it recently. But imagine, subhanallah, one day none of us will be alive. Maybe that day is soon, maybe that day is far, I don't want to scare anybody. But the brothers who signed the papers to open the masjid, the first person who made adhan in the masjid, the first imam of the masjid, all of this will go one day. And then some other people will come and they will use the masjid. But anybody who uses this masjid that was established, even after we are gone, a copy of the hasanat will be put in our account, inshallah. This is what we call, a good investment. Not here in dunya, good investment in akhirah. You put some money in, big or small, $5, $10, $100, whatever it is you can afford. Put that money in some sadaqah that will last. Right? Put it somewhere where over time people will continue to benefit. In some parts of the world, subhanAllah, this is something interesting I found out recently. There are some parts of the world where people don't have access to fresh drinking water. And at a very nominal cost, $5,000, $6,000, you can build a mechanized well where people can pull water from the ground. Now imagine if someone did this in some remote areas of Africa or Asia or anywhere else. And for years and years, people are able to go to that hole and get water that they can drink, they can make wudu, they can cook, they can do all their basic needs. Anytime anybody uses a drop of water, there's a good deed that is written for whoever it is that established that sadaqah. So the first thing that the Prophet ﷺ teaches us is that there is this sadaqah jariyah that somebody can do. It will be of benefit to the dead person even after they have departed a long time ago. My sincere advice to the family is, especially to the brother and his family who came, may Allah bless them, they made the trip even knowing that they will miss the janazah, subhanAllah. But this is what you do when you have family and when you have loved ones. try if you can in the near future to make some arrangement that there is some sadaqah jariyah for your brother Mustafa. Doesn't have to be big. I'm not asking you to find millions of dollars. Well, something small. Hatta if it's one yatim, you give him some money so he can go to school. Maybe he gets an education. One day he has halal income. He raises his kids. All of this hasanat will be deposited for your brother. I advise people to do this now because when the feeling is there, when that emotion is there, when you feel really that grief that you missed out, you missed the janazah, capitalize on that feeling to say, I'm going to do something to help my loved one. Because human beings, subhanAllah, as time goes, our feelings also get watered down. The day that we lose somebody, find the person 1 year later, his family, his own family, and you find they've moved on with their life. That's the reality. Life moves on. May Allah protect us, but somebody passed away, مثلا in my family or in somebody's family. Yeah, okay, work will give you 1 week off. That's it. After that, you're expected to report back to the office at 9 a.m. No exception. Eventually, some people will come to visit you. They will bring food and this and that. After that, your family will be back to cooking. Life is back to normal. Then eventually things move on. So while the heart is sad and is feeling the loss, capitalize on that feeling because this is the best time that you can, not only yourself, but you can perhaps motivate the other relatives around you to help you out and to get something done, inshallah. It will be for the benefit of our beloved brother Mustafa. May Allah have mercy upon him. The second thing that the Prophet ﷺ taught us is ilmun yuntafa'u bih. Somebody left behind some knowledge that will be of benefit to people. And this doesn't mean you have to be an alim or a sheikh or something like that. But this example, when we opened the masjid, somebody donated these masahib, these copies of the Quran, somebody donated. As long as the Quran is here and somebody is reading it, learning it, understanding it, as long as this knowledge is of benefit to people, the ajr will go into the account of the people who donated this. This is one way. Taban, if you are learned, you are a scholar, if you are an imam, if you're somebody Allah has blessed you with ilm, then you should teach this to other people. And as long as other people practice and teach others, it's a chain reaction. You keep getting the good deeds. And the Prophet ﷺ said the third thing is waladun salihun yad'u lah. Arguably the most precious of all of them is to have a righteous child that you left behind that will make dua for you. To have a son or a daughter, after they make their salah, they sit for a few minutes, they lift up their hand and they ask Allah, Ya Allah, have mercy on my father, have mercy on my mother. Open the gates of Jannah for them, forgive them for their sins. These are the ways that people can continue to gain hasanat and to gain rewards even after they die. It's either sadaqah jariyah, it's either beneficial knowledge you've left behind, or it's a righteous child who will make dua for you. And like I said, arguably the third one is the most precious, right? And this is something that all of us, alhamdulillah, are alive. Many of you have children. Something you have to teach your family. The easiest way and the fastest way to teach your children how to make dua for you is to show them that you make dua for your parents. And they will learn by example. Wallahi, one time, not me, but one of our imams here in the GTA, I won't mention his name, you guys all know him. He was in the hospital visiting a brother who was in the last stages of his life. And the brother was just about to check out, and he asked the Imam, he begged him. He said, Imam, please, whenever you remember, make dua for me. Because I can't guarantee, there's no way I can confirm if my family, if my kids will ever make dua for me. I never saw them make dua for anybody in their life. Taban, obviously, maybe he didn't teach them how to make dua, that's why they never made dua. But the reality is, while we are alive and we have our family around us, let's show them the example. Teach them how we make dua for those who went before us. If you have your parents alive, even let your kids see how you make dua for your parents, for Allah to give them good health, for Allah to bless them, how you help your parents, how you serve your parents. Because I found out, especially the brothers that came from Holland, they're not from North America, but in our North American environment, I don't know what it's like in the Netherlands, it's still Europe. But I found that a lot of times you'll find that our younger folks in some families completely oblivious of how things work. So the only way you get a kid who grows up over here and doesn't help his parents financially, for example, is because he didn't realize that his parents were helping their parents back home financially. And that's why it's important to explain to your kids what you do. If you guys, many of you, mashallah, many of us from, example, Indonesia, if you have family and relatives in Indonesia and they are going through a rough period or they have some emergency in their life and you send some money to them to help them, let their family over here know what you're doing. It's very, very healthy. Explain to the kids that your uncle, he has some problem, and that's why we're going to take this money and send it to him to help him. He's your uncle, he's my brother. Islam teaches us we have to look after him. It's our responsibility. If the child understands this while growing up, there is no way that this child of yours, when you become old and the child grows up, will not care for you. Because he would remember all the time that my mom and dad cared for their family. Then I also should look after my mom and dad and their family. But the problem sometimes is kids are out of the loop. They don't understand. They don't know what's going on because parents don't care to inform or there's disconnect, whatever the story might be. So then you find the boy over here or the girl over here grow up, mashallah, they're very successful, they're living their life, and they hardly talk to their parents, hardly visit their parents, never mind help their parents. And we start wondering, why the kid's so bad? Where did it go wrong? The reality is they never learned. Nobody gave them that good role model or that good example. Then these are the things that Rasul ﷺ teaches us that we can keep in mind, especially, of course, for my brother Sam. They should remember, inshallah, to make dua for his dad after every salah as often as he can. Complete your memorization of the Quran, the clear understanding that every letter that I read from this Quran, a reward of it is going to be copied for my dad, right? He will be so happy to see you again, inshallah, on the Day of Judgment if he notices that his scale of good deeds has a whole ton of extra good deeds deposited there. He will ask Allah and say, where did this come from? Allah will say, this is your son that you left behind after you left from this world. He continued to do good. A copy of all of his good, we gave it to you. That's when he will be happy and he will feel proud and content that he left behind the good young boy in this world, inshallah. For the family members who came from overseas, we give them our deepest condolences and we continue to make dua for their brother, for their son, Mustafa. And they missed the janazah. As I said, it really hurt my heart to see that people came from across the world and made it here, but they were not able to attend the janazah. But alhamdulillah, I'll share with you the good news. I don't know if anyone told you. We prayed the janazah in the masjid. There was, mashallah, Sudani Sheikh from Al-Azhar who led the janazah salah. He did a good job, and there was at least 100 men. We prayed the janazah. I don't know how many women because we couldn't see, but at least 100 men were there in the masjid. We prayed dhuhr and then we made the janazah. Then we took him to the graveyard and we buried him. And it was raining while we were putting his body into the ground. And we took that as a good sign. The rain is a sign of rahmah, a sign of blessing from Allah. And we made lots of dua there at the gravesite, asking Allah to fill this grave with His mercy and with His blessings, to make it easy for our brother to give a good account for himself Yawm al-Qiyamah when he stands up in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think I'm going to stop here and conclude. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us all to take benefit from the reminder of death. As I told you guys the day of the janazah, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, if somebody wants an advice, then the best advisor is death. See what happens to people, how they die and where we put them, and then think about your life and where you're heading. That's the best reminder and the best advice that we could have. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive Brother Mustafa for any mistakes that he made in his life, knowingly or unknowingly, publicly or privately. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him space, a garden in Jannah, and to allow his relatives of loved ones who have traveled to just see his gravesite. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow them to see their brother and to see their son again in Jannah. And for all of us, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to live and die as Muslims, us and our children and their children and their children until the end of time. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها يا رب العالمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. صل اللهم وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. أحباب, we'll make adhan inshallah and get ready for Salat al-Isha.